Daymond, thank you so much for coming on today.
It is an honor. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. You have been a lightning rod for people. Your energy, your passion, you have this very cool part of you where even though you're so successful, your ego has stayed in check and you connect with people immediately. You have this approachable, sweet, loving, and yet strong presence. I think that says a lot about you.
Wow, I never heard of it like that, but I appreciate it. I work hard at it. But it's an honor that people feel that way. Well, some people, there's a lot of other people out in the world.
Yeah, who needs those people? No, but there's always those people. There's people who don't like Jerry Seinfeld or Italian food, and it's just it's fine. It's not important. Yeah, so let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about your journey because people obviously know you from Shark Tank and they know you from all of your businesses and everything else, but nobody probably knows the journey that led you there. So can we just talk about that for a second? When you were a kid, did you have any idea that one day you were going to be a mogul and an entrepreneur?
I absolutely knew that I was going to be a mogul and entrepreneur right around the age of, from the age of about 13 to 18, I realized that I was going to be a gajillionaire and a mogul and an entrepreneur. And
oh my God.
Because it was very clear. I was going to maybe buy crash cars at 5,000, invest 5,000 and sell them for 20,000. And it's obvious nothing will ever go wrong. And I will then buy 2 cars, 5 cars, 10 cars. And by the time you know it, I was going to be Henry Ford. And life set in and I was broke, uneducated, working at Red Lobster, serving shrimp, thinking that I was a loser and that I would never make it anywhere in life when I was about 22 years old.
Oh my God, this is such a good story. So what happened?
Well, what happened is that, as a kid, well, I guess it's the people that surround you surround yourself with. I grew up in a place called Hollis, Queens, and there's a lot of amazing music artists that came out of Hollis, Queens, in this little square 5 miles. LL Cool J, Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, Onyx, 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Tribe Called Quest.
Oh my God.
And probably about literally, another dozen.
That's insane. You just rattled off. That was a whole era of music right there in your little 5-block radius.
Right. And we would see them drive by in all these fancy cars. And I said, well, obviously I'm next. I didn't realize I had to put in work to get to what they were doing and where they were. Right. So I had this false sense of I'm seeing all these people and obviously it's easy to do this. And then I didn't apply myself. I was busy hanging out on tours and partying. And then I was laughing at all the kids that decided to go to college. I did that whole, let me take off 1 year from college, and it became forever. And then, as I said, 21, 22 years old, I was working in Red Lobster, and all those kids that went to college were coming back from college with jobs, and I was serving them shrimp. And that's when reality set in that, Daymond, maybe you are not as smart as you think you are. And then I started to triple down on getting an education, whether I had to take night classes, whether reading every book that Tony Robbins made, or Carnegie, or Napoleon Hill, or Brian Tracy, or whatever it was. And I just started putting so much knowledge in my body and going out seeking many, many more mentors. And then applying, applying myself to something I really loved, something that I would have done for free for the rest of my life, which was dress people. And I turned around at 30 years old. I had a company that was doing about $400 million annually, globally recognized. So
it's incredible.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea why God has decided to bless me, but I'm here.
I'm gonna say it again. I said it about 6 seconds into this interview. There is a goodness in you. It's so obvious, and that's why God bless you.
Well, I hope so. I'm trying to still keep earning my way into heaven.
Well, you have a lot. You have a very clear amount of integrity, and that's what it is. You can feel it from miles away. No, let's talk about when you said you were filling yourself reading those books, Carnegie, Tony Robbins. What shifted? What shifted? Because there was an internal shift.
It was well, I had already had already had faith in myself at an early age. My mother's a very, very strong woman, and told me a lot of things as I was growing up. And, you know, it was that time when kids kind of get lost for a little while, and then they come back and say, wait, maybe mom is not as stupid as I thought she was. And it was adding that to the things that I was taking out of those books, such as, you know, when they were breaking down the statistics of who are self-made men and women, or the fact that athletes and lotto winners, they have all this money, but 65% of them are bankrupt 3 years after leaving the league or winning the lotto because of lack of financial intelligence. So I started to look at those things. Also, of course, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, made me understand the value of setting goals and affirmations and reading them daily and filling my mind full of the things that I want to accomplish in life, not what society wants me to accomplish or people telling me I can't accomplish, because those are still goals, right? You know, unfortunately, I told you fortunately about the artists in my life in Hollis, Queens, but also we were all told as young African American males that we'd be dead or in jail by 21. And if we repeated that enough to ourselves, many of my friends ended up accomplishing that goal. So there's negative goals and there's positive goals. And I started applying those things, the positive ones.
When you, I mean, that is just so powerful, right? Like we reach for the highest branch that we can see.
Yeah.
And what is modeled for us is so, it's so important, because what you started doing was creating a different model, right? Expansion, like looking and seeing that there was in fact a different possibility there for you. And then you built it so much bigger than, I mean, I like gasped when you said $400 million. I mean, it's, and you've done that now over and over and over and over again. Like that was just the first, but it's huge, right?
Yeah.
What did it look like for people who are listening right now? You know, over 80% of the people listening to this show, they're putting in the work. They have a 4-year degree, but they're unfulfilled at their job. They're not feeling like they are in the zone, right? In that flow state. They're not feeling an abundance of like creativity, and they're not feeling an abundance of money, neither. And so when you started that first clothing, that first business, how did that begin? Like, how did you get your first customer? How did you get that first sale? What lit the match?
It happened by mistake. It was, I saw a hat that I really loved, but it looked like a ski cap, and instead of the ball on the top, it was open on the top. So you took a piece of the fabric of the hat and you tied like a string. I saw it in a Daymond John video, and I wanted to buy it, and I bought it. And I remember showing my mother the hat, and she said, "That's a poorly constructed hat, and I can't believe you paid $20 for that hat." She said, "You don't have enough money to just keep buying hats like that. When I showed you the basics of sewing, I'll show you how to sew that hat." So I go to the store, I get $40 worth of fabric so I can make a couple of hats. And I come home and my mother shows me how to sew the hats. But I didn't realize that I wasn't thinking about it. I bought the same roll of fabric. So now I had 80 hats that looked like the same exact striped candy cane, and one head. And I realized I'm never going to wear all these hats. I don't want to give them away to all my friends, because then all my friends will look exactly like me. So it was 1989. It was Good Friday. It was about 3:15 in the afternoon. It was around 47 degrees outside. And I stood outside on the corner and I tried to sell those hats. And in 1 hour, I sold $800 worth of hats. And I remember saying to myself, I made these hats with my own hands. It was my ability to show value to the customer, whether it is this matches the outfit, this is the hip hat you saw in De La Soul video, this is gonna make your head feel warm, you're gonna look like you're onto the new things like in hip hop. And it was my ability to relay this message to them. And now I have $800, and I will never have to work for anybody ever again for the rest of my life. Now, reality set in. I worked at Red Lobster for 5 years after that. But that moment was the moment of like, and I think everybody can experience this or feel that. It's a culmination of a bunch of actions and thoughts. And then when that goal starts to unfold in front of you, it's like, God damn it, that is it. It doesn't mean that's going to be it forever, but it was that moment that changed my life.
Oh my God, I love how you painted that picture. And even that it was 47 degrees, I could just feel you sitting there. And
Yeah.
you're right, because words don't teach. It's the experience of it. And you in that moment went, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I felt what just happened. So now that I felt that and did that and experienced that, I could do that again. So then you just said you stayed working at Red Lobster. So what was that next moment that took that day on the street corner and blew that up?
Well, that story started in 89, and technically I didn't really have public recognition until 97, 98. I had closed FUBU down 3 times from 89 to 92, even though I was working at Red Lobster. But the business kept calling me back. You know, it's the business is almost like that first time somebody gets high, which I don't get high, but I'm told that you always get that feeling of wanting to have that high or that joy, right? And I'd rather say that instead of high. And the business kept calling me back, but I would make affordable mistakes. You know, I'd run out of $500, $1,000. And a lot of people don't realize that small businesses often fail because of overfunding. They go out and they try to build Rome in one day by borrowing $50,000, $100,000, and then they just make bigger mistakes. That's all they make. But after I ran out of $500, I would see people say, hey man, I bought that hat from you. You were in the corner, right? I still got a hat. It's my favorite hat. I've been looking for you. And I go, wait a minute, let me start doing it again. And then somebody goes, oh my God, I've been wearing these hats. Why don't you make t-shirts? You're right. Why aren't I making t-shirts? And then 92 came around, and you know what was happening in 92 reflects what was happening last year with George Floyd. There was the Rodney King incident, people burning buildings, marching in the streets, people of all colors were fighting against injustice. The chokehold was being implemented. And we were lost as a community, a African-American community. And that was the last time that I said, that's it. I know that the only way that I'm going to empower myself in my community or my ability to get out of here is to take ownership and really take a stab at this company. I'm not going to bullshit anymore. Let me do this because I'm frustrated, but I'm not going to burn a business. I'm going to build a business. And I found 3 great partners who wanted to partner up with me. I found people of all colors who wanted to support me, to say, we love what you guys are doing. We love hip hop. You know, and that was probably the moment, 92, when I officially really just said, I'm never going to turn back from starting this company.
I love that you just gave all of us that insight into where you were at, that why behind it, because what's going on in the world today, I say to people, time's up. Like, time's up on playing small. Like, you don't have the luxury to sit there and play small, right? If you have Wi-Fi, if you have running water, and you're looking out there at what's happening, and Daymond, think about at this moment, which I'm sure you think this all the time, who you are, the representation that you now offer, who you are as a model now is so powerful. The ripple effects that came from that, and now you just being you, walking through the world as yourself, empowered, on purpose, lit up. That's how you make change. And you did that. And to remind people, what you just did is you reminded us that you said, I wasn't going to burn a business, I was going to build a business, right? Because you have the capacity for this level of greatness. But that takes tremendous strength, right? Tremendous strength. And you just were like, game on, game on. And so it was.
Yeah. You know, this is why I think this podcast is so great, because you have a way of breaking things down that I think even, you know, maybe I'm too close to it. I don't look at it as, I always try to say, you know, don't take yourself too serious. Nobody else is. But, you know, I'm very close to it. But I also don't want people to think that that tremendous strength, as you described it, was something that I knew I had. It wasn't. It may have been tremendous fear that I don't want to be dead or in jail. I don't want to be at the mercy of the government or the police or people in the wrong hands. So I know where this burning business is. I know where this frustration and saying that since nobody else values my community, F it, let me just be a wild guy or girl or whatever. I know where that's going to lead for sure. If I'm not dead or in jail, I'm not going to have a fruitful life, and I'm not going to be able to raise kids by my example because they're going to end up being like me. So I think that's more of a fear to say, well, then I got to try everything else, because everybody in the world that has made it, most of them didn't start with anything. They didn't wake up a genius. They didn't wake up with all the assets that they have. I mean, yes, there's a very small amount of people that really woke up with everything. You just either have to apply yourself or not. And if everybody else can do it, why can't I do it?
Yes. And your co-star on Shark Tank, Barbara Corcoran, who we mentioned before we started recording, was here, and she said, I know you know her intimately, but she shared with us that she grew up with very little, and she had that moment where her ex, many, many, many years ago said to her, "You will be nothing without me." And she said, "Thank you for that, because that insurance policy, I will never let you see me fail now." And she walked out of that office. And no matter, she said, how many recessions came in the real estate market, no matter how many loop-de-loops it did, she heard those words like, "You will be nothing without me." And that, similar to what you're saying, is it didn't matter to her what cards were dealt, what circumstances were there. She was going to choose almost to utilize that, like to fuel her even more. Right. And I have so much respect, and we all do. The world has so much respect for Shark Tank, because it is like Halley's Comet to make a TV show that strikes gold the way that you guys have done. And it is so simple. It is a few people on a stage speaking truth over people. That's all it is. There's no glitz and fanfare. That's it.
And more importantly, a lot of people don't realize the sharks are probably learning more than anybody else when we're on the stage.
What do you mean by that?
I'm learning from my fellow sharks. They're amazing people, and we all may know the fundamentals of business, but everyone's executing their business in a different way. I'm also learning, though, from the empty nesters that are coming up on that stage and saying, "I'm tired of working on somebody else's dream. I'm ready to work on my own." Or the kids who are 8, 9, 10 years old, who's like, I'm not sure where my education will take me, but here's what I'm doing today before I ever get a piece of paper. Or the people that have failed and have a passion and love for it, and people that are doing business in a whole new way. If I wasn't on Shark Tank, I'd probably be making clothes. Hopefully Macy's will buy them. Maybe Macy's will put it out on the rack, and maybe somebody will buy it off the rack. And if they don't, I wouldn't even know who they are, because I don't have any way to connect with them through social media conversion or email. I'll be doing business the same way. So we're up there getting an education ourselves.
Your through line is tremendous humility, radical humility. That's what you have. Radical amount. I mean, look what you just said. You're getting in it. You won't lose an opportunity to grow. That's what it is. It's amazing. It's
Absolutely.
amazing.
I gotta learn something new every day. Absolutely.
So now teach us something, because we're in this moment, which you're more aware of than anyone else, this great resignation. People want to quit their jobs. They don't want to be working for someone else. And years before that happened, Shark Tank was already cooking and up and running and doing unbelievable things to inspire the world. So if somebody's listening right now, I mean, they're feeling so grateful that you're here. So what advice do you have after seeing so many people trying to step up to bat? What do they need in order to stop working for someone else and in order to build their own business? What are some of the essentials that they're going to need?
In your mindset of understanding that they're going to fail a lot of doors going to close in their face. But they also need to know exactly what I was saying, that they have to educate themselves every day. Now, the first part of educating yourself is, as we discussed, what is your why? I believe there's 3 pillars to success. It is really drilling down on your why, right? Why are you doing this? I've done plenty of deals on Shark Tank where the person really wanted either to be famous or they wanted something else, but they didn't want this. It's okay if you want to be famous. but drill down on that. Because once you truly know your why, then you can set the right goals, as we're talking about. And when you set the right goals, then you know the education you need to reinforce those goals. But if it starts off with the foundation of the why is wrong, well, then the goals are going to be wrong, and then the education is going to be wrong. And then once you know your why, the next step is you have to take inventory. You cannot say, well, I need this. Well, I need that. That's true. You will need them. But what do you have today, right now? You know, when I said that I got to that point in 1992 when I started the business, so what was my inventory? I had a phone available to me. And I had a lot of extra time because I was working at Red Lobster. I made 50 calls a day for 6 months. I said to myself, I don't care what it is, I'm going to make 50 calls a day, 10 to manufacturers, 10 to stores, 10 to music labels and rap artists and friends, 10 to regular customers, 50 calls a day. And if in 6 months, I feel a level of that I'm getting someplace, I'm going to bring in partners. And in 6 months, my 50 calls, some people who didn't talk to me, call one, talk to me, call, you know, whatever, 1,200. Some people said, you're not going away. Some people, whatever the case is, but I had 50 calls a day. My buddy who started Bombas Socks, and that's the #1 product invested in Shark Tank history, he said he had 50,000 people that have somehow been in his email base. He went into his email base. He saw 50,000 people were there. He sends out an email. Hey, thinking of this concept called Bombas Socks. Every pair we sell, we're going to give away a pair to the homeless. What do you think? 20% of the people said, stop spamming me. Another couple of people said, I don't know who the hell you are. I don't remember you. A lot of people said, I really, really love this idea. And a couple of people said, I'm your ex-girlfriend, a-hole. Why are you emailing me this stupid ass idea? I still hate you. But 50,000 people are hitting it. It is taking inventory, and your inventory is time on hand, friends you have around you, friends you don't have around you, mentors, books you need to read, courses you need to read, places you need to go intern at, place your staff at your office who will back you, or crowdfunding campaign, shooting stupid videos and putting it out there and saying, what do you think about it? Your inventory is right there.
That is so good. Oh, it's so good. So when you do a deal with someone and they leave the Shark Tank stage, what is the #1 thing that becomes the obstacle for people? What can we start to just anticipate that you have seen that is where people hit their wall? What happens, and how could we prevent that dip?
Assuming that there's a pill that is going to solve the problem. I've done a deal with a shark. Now I'm going to call the shark all the time, and that person is going to solve all my problems.
Right.
Or now I've gotten the money, and the money is going to solve all my problems, and not realizing that the work really begins then.
Yeah.
You know, the shark cannot be a crutch, because at the end of the day, the business falls on you. And you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs in the business. And understanding that nobody will ever run the business like you will, you know, or care about the business as much as you are. You're going to, and there's no one pill. Yes, can a shark lead you in the right direction? Yeah, we can. But my most successful founders, I'll give them 10 ideas, and it's up to them to see which ones resonate with them. And they'll say, okay, these are all great, or maybe these are not that great. These two work for me. You know, going back to Bombas Socks, as soon as, you know, I'm a guy who puts big splashy logos on stuff. I do a whole bunch of lines and all that kind of stuff in fashion business. So when they came in, and after I became partner, I was calling them every day. Hey, you know what collabo you need to do? You need to do the Flavor Flav sock. Yeah, boy. And they were like, thank you, Daymond. Click. Thank you, Daymond. Click. And they were just focused on one type of sock. They concentrate on it. And as I reflect on that, there's no one way to do the business. Kevin Plank, my buddy, did Under Armour, and he did that whatever, that sports shirt. He did that shirt for 10 years straight. 10 years, that shirt. Now it's a $4 billion annually revenue generating company. Me, I did 100 different type of shirts because mine was more about fashion. His was about more workout and the technical things. So it is all about understanding exactly, drilling down deep on what you need to do. No matter how much money you have, no matter what kind of advice you have, you still have to get out there and do the work. and don't think that somebody's going to solve the problem for you.
That's incredible. When it comes to looking at, like you were saying, your most successful founders, what quality do they have? What's the one thing that's consistent in who they are and how they show up in the world?
Besides the fact that I said about education, they just keep getting up. They keep getting knocked down. They keep getting up, but they take affordable steps. And that's how come they keep getting up, because the steps are affordable that they've taken. And that's really the thing that I find founders, because they're able to survive when they get knocked down. Most founders that I know are successful and they're on their 5th, 6th, or 7th business. They started this one and they didn't have the right partners. Next one, they had the right partners, but not the right paperwork. Next one, not meaning IPs or things like that. The next one, part of the paperwork going to check, but maybe not the right funding or the right distribution, the right manufacturing. By the time they get down to number 7, they're like, all right, I got all these things. But if they risked it all and tried to build Rome in a day, well, then that business is probably 4 or 5 years in. You can't do 6, 7 businesses for 4 or 5 years. And I mean, maybe you could, but they got narrow and deep on when they finally found that business they loved.
Yeah. When you were talking about making those 50 calls a day, I mean, to me, the rewards for that are disproportionately unbelievable, because what I see in the people that I've spoken to who listen to the show is the biggest obstacle is making the sale, and how much of our own fear and resistance and shame comes up, like asking someone, opening your palms and being willing to receive money for something. People just shut down. They just shut down. And I see it over and over and over again, just that move. So when you're talking to people, how do you help people overcome that feeling of, oh, I feel so embarrassed or ashamed to ask for something, and turn it around and give them the reminder that no, they're inviting someone to something that's a gift. That's what sales is. It's a level of serving someone else, raising your hand and offering someone something they need or want. That shift, I feel like people go as far up as they can and they back off because they can't even have that conversation once. You were doing it 50 times a day, being willing to say, here's the story. What can we do together? How can we collaborate? Here's what I've got. How do you see that? What do you think that resistance is about, and how do you help people overcome that?
Well, I think you said one word that was that is the most powerful word: serve. Be of service. When you're calling, you have to be offering somebody 2 and 3 times the amount of what you're asking for. And if you know that you're supposed to be of service to everybody. I'm of service to my employees. I'm of service to, my shareholders. I'm of service to my customers. And when you keep giving and giving and giving and giving, I feel that there's an ability to say, man, I'm going to give you so much. Is it possible for you to do this? Now, if they say no, whenever I've gotten somebody who say no to me, I first have to go and hack myself. Did I convey the message appropriately? Am I really offering them something of value? Is it the right time? Did I ask them the right questions? Did I study them well enough to know what they really want in life? And you know what? If all of that is in place and I think I've done all that, maybe it's just not a good day for them. Maybe they're thinking about something else. I'll return to them later. Next. And I just move on. And I keep kissing a whole lot of frogs. I've kissed a lot of frogs. But sooner or later, if you get down the road, you will, if you hack yourself well enough, you will perfect or get as close to perfection of what you have to offer. And you will find somebody down the road that will find value in it. When I shopped FUBU out to get backing, I didn't go to Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Reebok. I didn't go to the first 20. I went to number 200 in the market who wanted to be number 20. I didn't go to those first. I didn't waste my time. So it is really understanding that you really have something of value and you're so excited. As an entrepreneur, you're so excited. You're like, I gotta tell you what I got. You won't believe it. It is a shirt. You got 3 sleeves on the shirt? No. The shirt wake up and make me breakfast? No, but it's called FUBU. I gotta tell you about FUBU? All right, I'll buy one if you just shut the F up. All right.
Love it. I mean, what you're speaking to is, you know, I often say it's not a business problem, it's a courage problem. Like you just said, and if it's not for you, you don't take it personally. I feel like people are so wounded by rejection. They can't hang. Like they can't hang. It's just like, and you're sitting here going, I didn't feel rejected. The last thing I thought is maybe she just had a bad day. There was no sentence in there in possibility land where it was about you. It was like, I either didn't communicate it well. All right. But it wasn't it wasn't, she doesn't appreciate Daymond John as I live and breathe. You didn't take that. You didn't take that hit.
No, you know, I mean, listen, when I walked up to people, you know how many times I could have said, is it because I'm dyslexic? I didn't go to college. The only notable thing I did in school was I repeated 7th grade twice. Is it because I don't have any money? Is it because I'm black? Is it because I'm short? Is it because I don't have a famous last name? I mean, I didn't say any of that. Actually, listen, I got baptized by fire. I used to stand outside the Apollo Theater in Harlem on 125th Street at midnight trying to sell my shirts when they're coming out of the Apollo Theater. Talk about analytics. I always say this, but I'm serious. They told me what they thought about my shirts and my mother. So, you know, those drunk bastards really were very vocal. That's your problem. But don't say nothing about my mother again. But that's your problem. I'll move on to the next person. You want to buy a shirt?
Dave Chappelle, I don't know, you know the story, you probably do, but he, you know, did his set at the Apollo Theater and like they were not having it. And
I never heard this.
Yeah, he gets like tap danced off the stage and it's like as bad as it could possibly be. And he walks outside and he looks at his buddies and they're about to go get dinner. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm here. We're about to get dinner. So I survived that. So yeah, I think this career is actually going to be great. Like if I could survive that, I'm in. Like that's how he looked at it, right? Yeah. As opposed to the opposite. Oh, forget it. I'm never going to get up again. And it's like, now people think, you know, I mean, now it's a little bit heated with him, but there are people who are like, he is the GOAT. Like this man stepped up to the Apollo and they had none of it. Not interested. They were not interested. And he saw that as a gift. He was like, I'm good now. I got it. Right. Just like you. Yeah. You guys are gonna have dinner one day and tell that story to each other. So what you're saying is then, you know, you mentioned that your mother is a strong woman.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that, and I can just feel it because I said to you already, there's something in you. It's so solid. And I feel like when you're here, your presence, you're not confused about your worthiness. I don't feel that from you, but I feel so many people, whether they grew up with money, lots of it or not, they don't walk around with a sense of worthiness. They don't walk around feeling like anybody would ever value. And that's inherently then why they're afraid to go to market, why they're afraid to ask, because it's always then the story of, oh, it must be me. I'm not enough. I'm not this. It's like, so it's more contagious than COVID. So I'm sure you've seen people come on that Shark Tank stage who've got the talent, they've got all the numbers, and there's something in there where they're just not owning the room. They're not claiming it. What would you say to those people to help them to step into it?
It's an interesting question. I've never been asked that before. They're not good communicators, but I think like you're saying, they're not communicating the mirror well enough. I mean,
yeah, the mirror.
You know, listen, you have to be confident, but you have to be vulnerable at the same time. An entrepreneur is vulnerable, you know, and when you share vulnerability, people want to fight for you. You know, when you want to say, hey, I'm here, I've accomplished all this. I don't know this area. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to learn this area. But I'm so passionate about this. Here's where I add value. You know, here's where I have failed. And by the way, I still have a passion for this, even though I have failed there. And these are the things I've figured out, and sooner or later I'm going to figure it all out. But I would love for you to jump on this train with me and take this ride with me. You know, a lot of people feel that they're supposed to pitch as in, I started this, I'm great. You know, this is going to be the best ever. And because they think that we want to hear that. But if you're so great, then why the hell are you in front of me?
Right.
Right. We want to buy into a story. We all like the underdog, and we also want to feel like we add value. If you're in a room with somebody and you say, hey, I'm doing a great business, but I know you do a lot of stuff over there in that area. I'd love to get together with you and talk about that type of stuff, because maybe there's something we could do together. Maybe I can buy some of my time for you, whatever. That other person goes, man, that person, as fly as that person is, they need some help from me. Let's do it. Everybody wants to feel special. And when you feel a little bit vulnerable, listen, the ones who are going to be a-holes and laugh and point at you and take advantage of that vulnerability, they're not good people anyway. You don't want to be in business with them.
Yeah.
That's their problem. That's them. Maybe their parents were locking them in the closet for 10 years, or, maybe they were told that this is what success is, downing other people. That's not your problem. Your problem is to find other people that believe in you, because you want to also add value to them. And that's the only way that I think you should look at it. Because thinking about the negative way of looking at it, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I mean, what you just did is you totally flipped the script and you said, lean into being vulnerable, because that's actually so beautiful. And it's a way to connect with other people. And you just also gave us permission to say, and the people who would be, coming at you and throwing shade at you for that, why would you want any of those people near you anyway? Right? Like it's amazing how we have these early experiences of being rejected and wanting to be liked. And so we miss out on so much by trying to win this popular vote and try to get everybody coming to the table. And you miss out on just being who you are, and then inviting the people who you really want to sit at that table with. You don't need to be everybody's favorite thing. You just need to be authentic and connect with the right people. So what's so cool, and I want to pivot into talking about this now, is that I can't even believe that you're being this generous to create this kind of content in the world, but you're creating a course, the 7-day Power Pack Reels campaign for Small Business Blueprint, and it's coming up. And I want to talk about it. And I want you to tell us a little bit about why people need this, why creating this kind of content is important to grow your business.
Yeah, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it, because we put a lot of thought behind it. As you said, what are the first couple of things that you would do, when you start a business? Well, social media is free for the most part. I mean, of course, you can spend millions of dollars on it, but you can start someplace. And unlike me, when I had to go to the Apollo, and even if I sold somebody a shirt, I had no way to talk to them again. I had to find them at their home the next day, right? Today, you can pick up a smartphone and you can put up content and be around the world, and you can get your true analytics from it. And you can show value to people. You can show what you're doing. You can get proof of concept and create a following. And the best way to do that now is, of course, on Reels, on TikTok, and social media. And you're going to need to do it one way or another. And again, don't think everybody has a pill for you, because if you just think you're going to hire somebody to do all that, well, if you don't know any of the fundamentals or any of the basics, well, if they do a great job, well, then they got the keys to the car. They may hold you hostage. And if they're doing a crappy job, you don't even know how to judge it, right? So what we put together is as you said, the 7-day Power Pack Reels campaigns for small business blueprint, and the system includes courses and hacks to put systems into place to save you time. It can be very time consuming when you talk about social media. But if you put together something for 2 minutes, I can show you 10 ways to use that and create a content calendar where it goes up every day, every other day. And you don't have to spend every day on it. And this course specifically teaches you all the small business owners how to grow your TikTok, Reels, Snapchat, and Audio Room platforms. And it includes 15 cheat sheets, ebooks, and a checklist, including 20 done for you already Canva templates. And if you sign up for the VIP list and it closes in 2 days, then you get exclusive bonuses like chance to meet with me. You got some other stuff here. I even wrote it down. It was so much. Sorry about that.
Oh my God, I can't believe you're giving that away. What an incredible VIP.
Yeah, and by the way, you get, because of this, because we're on here, you get a 34% discount. So the full bundle is $97 and early access to brand new offerings. And so just go to masteringreels.com to sign up.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit more about that social media and visibility. I think people feel like, it's so big. It's such a giant sea of videos. There's 169 billion videos on YouTube. There's 2 million podcast episodes a week. Like, how would I even break in, right? Can you kind of like explain what is it about content that breaks through the noise? What kind of content is the kind of content that would make people stop, that would make people say, oh, no, 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 I'm glad you just showed up at the party. I'm going to start following you now. What is it in content that you think stands out?
It's authenticity, right? It's authenticity, it's education, it's making people laugh. You know, Gary Vee says it the best, right? If you were watching your favorite half an hour television show and 27 minutes of it was commercials, you're going to change your channel.
Yeah.
But if you're watching your favorite half an hour television show and 27 minutes of it was whatever you're tuning into it for, make you work out better, cook better, laugh, scare you, educate you. The 3 minutes that you're selling is the time when people say, man, I want to buy. And even if they don't want to buy, what they say is when they talk to other people, hey, guess what? What you doing right there? Go check this person out. The reason the Bombas sell so well, they're going to do $500 million. The reason why they sell so well is because every time they sell a pair of socks, they give a pair away to the homeless. Whoever's listening to us right now they're listening to us. Even if I was watching them, I couldn't tell if anybody here had Bombas on. But what do people do? They take the message from Bombas, and when they're sitting across the table, they go, oh Ma, you gave at the end of the year? I gave 20 times this year. How do you do that? Every time I bought this, I helped clean up the ocean. Every time I bought this, I stopped human trafficking. Every time I bought this, a person in need got a pair of socks. And people love, as we all see, good and bad, people love for you to give them their talking points tomorrow at the water cooler or on Zoom. And that's what it is when you're giving reels out or you like content, people are laughing, going, oh, did you see this? And they're sharing it. And you're getting a true report card on whether it is good, bad, or indifferent. So what we try to do is compact all this stuff to show you the things you need to do and how to automate it. So then you can look out the 10 reels or the 10 TikToks you put out and go, wait, number 1 worked really well. Number 7 sucks. Number 5 is okay. We need to improve number 9.
That's so good. And it's so true. I love that you started with saying authenticity. And then what you just said about people need that thing that's going to be the story they tell at the water cooler. You're right. I mean, that's so true. When you think about it, do people need to have like the perfect lighting? Where people are going to say to me, like, I can't make a reel, I can't make a podcast, I'm not ready yet, I don't look the part, I got to lose 50 pounds, I got to get a better setup. Do you think that that's what's needed to make great content, or is it more of the authenticity? And if so, how can we capture that?
You don't even need to be on it yourself half the time. If you are putting out great quotes, if you're putting out beautiful photography of whatever it is, or an education of that world, you know, you don't have to be on it. People take it too literal. You don't have to be dancing on TikTok.
Wow.
You don't have to do that. I personally, will I do it? Maybe when my daughter a little bit older, she wants to do it, but I feel like I would be looking a little thirsty. Here's the camera. Look, I've been practicing this in the mirror all day. And now I think I look pretty stupid. I'm 52 years old. Why the hell would I do that? So it doesn't have to be like that. You know, sometimes some of these places that you see a lot of great content from, you don't even know where they came. You don't even know who's doing it. Like Uber inspirational quotes. You don't even know. They may have 7 million followers. Now, what if they decide to put some of those quotes on mugs? And I'm sure they have, you know, but
Right.
You know, people get too literal about these things.
That's such a good point. That is such a good point. That's such a great response. It doesn't have to be you, right? It could just be the quote. It could just be the content. You know, you're talking about how that winds up becoming a lead generator. Like you said, if you were standing outside of the Apollo that night, you'd have to find those people somewhere on the street of Manhattan. Like that's not going to necessarily ever happen. But here you can follow up. Let's talk about that for a second. How you take a piece of content and then engage with people. What's that next step? Let's say you put up something spicy or cool or interesting or funny or delicious, and it's a reel or it's a TikTok or wherever you put it. What's that next step to then move that from just a front-facing piece of content into a conversation, into something where you're moving people closer?
And so first of all, you want them to start following you, and you follow them back, and you know, because they were raising their hand digitally to say, look, I respect you, or I like you. But you can also put obviously links in your bios and other places. You can hit links where people go to follow you more. I mean, you know, my daughter's only 5 years old, but for some reason she's maybe we let the iPad raise her, but every time she does a little video, she goes, hit the link below. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh
So
God,
cute.
you know, babe, we're bad parents. But you know, or you there's a lot of other ways, and we could talk about it. You know, when you ask somebody, you can ask somebody a quiz, and that's cool. And a lot of times we see that same thing. What was your? I don't want to see that. But if you put you are which one of these three people are you? Then people like to take it, because again, it's back what's in it for them. There's various different ways you can get them to follow up. And trust me, when you ask for people's opinions, especially when they're people who are following you, they love to give their opinion. But take their opinion, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, that's still an investment. A criticism is an investment, no matter what, because they didn't necessarily have to tell you what they thought. I can't say that all criticism is great, because as you and I talked about it previously, only 5% of the people that give you, criticism, bad, horrible, or the negative ones, it's only usually like 5%. And we often are so busy getting hurt by that 5% that we're ignoring the other 95%. But there's always ways to get this conversation going back and forth. It depends on the platform you're on.
I love that idea that criticism, any good or bad, is an investment. And it's true. Psychologically, when you put up a poll or you ask people to respond in your stories or to whatever it is, or DM you and ask for their feedback, by them doing that, they feel like they just made an investment in you, right? They are moving closer to you. Yes.
The study, there was an MIT study that Fortune 500 companies, 90% of the most profitable products came out of customer complaints.
Oh my God, say that again. That's crazy.
Yeah, they said that MIT study, I believe, said over, and don't quote me, but you can go and research it, was that over 90% of the most profitable products in large corporations came out of customer complaints. It's kind of like that, oh, I got to get this damn ketchup out of the bottle. I got to hit the glass 57. But they go around and check everybody's house. They realize that everybody's bottles were upside down in the refrigerator. Hence, now you have the big plastic and the base is upside down. Customer complaints are the number one thing, because, and then when somebody feels like you listen to their complaint, they go, hey, you know that company over there? They listen to me. They become an ambassador again. You know, so it's critical to get this information. Listen, you know, I have my last two book covers that I ever put up. I put up 4 colors, and I already knew the one I was going to pick. And I said, what do you think? And I got overwhelmingly picked some number 4 or 3. It was always the color that I never thought would work. And my books are best-selling books. Now, is it because everybody picked the color? Maybe, maybe not. They felt vested interest in it. Of course, the content is absolutely amazing, but they also felt like they were part of the ride.
You know what you just keep doing with every answer is you keep taking away the obstacle, because there is no obstacle. Like even the criticism, you're like, awesome, more expansion, great, bring it closer. Where I feel everyone is so in this limited, narrow focus of, I don't want to get hurt, and I'm such a perfectionist because I don't want to be rejected. And it's just like, you're like, no, dude, like even that's a gift. That's awesome. It's like for you, it's all green lights. It's all green lights. Even the negative, you're like, they become an ambassador because you take that feedback. Like this is just the power of where your mindset is. It's so powerful.
Oh, thank you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some hard nights where I'm like, God damn.
Sure.
And then some other nights when I was like, why you keep telling me I can't make it out of the hood? You're a crackhead. You know? So.
Right. It's very empowering. What we're gonna put a link to your masteringreels.com in the show notes. We're gonna send it out to our list. As we're signing off here today, what's your take-home message for somebody who's listening who would love to have 1 ounce, 1/2 of an ounce of the success that you have had, and they've been waking up just feeling like they are caught in that predictable loop, same day, Groundhog Day, every day, and they're listening to you right now and something's starting to shift? What is your advice to them? What's something they could go do or think about or implement today?
First of all, if they're doing something they absolutely love, I do say, and I know that you should keep your day job as long as you can, but eventually leave the day job. but you have to be able to sacrifice and put in that time, whether it's an hour a day extra, whether it's 50 calls a day, whether it's 2 tweets, whether it's whatever the case is, because you have to think about all the things that were created and all the things that were not. Every single thing that was created that you see, whether the computer we're on, whatever the case is, that God didn't create, it started with one person that had one idea that took one action. That is no matter what we're talking about. So it can be done. But you don't have to think about, we watch too many people's, sizzle reels instead of their blooper reels. OPM could be what my mentor, Jay Abraham, told me is OPM could be other people's mind power, marketing, manpower, manufacturing, mentors, mistakes. You have to use whatever you have at hand, and you have to start just now. I mean, Nike, just start. And you have to understand you will get knocked down, but if you're doing something you absolutely love, my daughter has worked in an animal shelter for the last 10 years, and she'll never make a dime. Will she ever regret it? Well, I can't even say she'll never make a dime. Maybe she'll create a huge, a huge business off of it that will be a philanthropic business, but she'll never regret it. I would have never regretted if I failed at FUBU, because I remember getting excited when I saw somebody wear my product and say, wow, I didn't design it like that, but damn, that looks good on them. And I would have never regretted it. So it has to be a combination of setting the right goals, knowing your why, doing something you absolutely love, and taking affordable steps. And you will get knocked down. But if you get knocked down and you're proud of what you're doing, who cares? But you will absolutely regret your life if you don't start.
So beautiful. What a gorgeous way to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being you're so easy to love. Like, you're so successful, and you have none of this like ego wall up around you. You're just like, you're such a good spirit. And this is why you're going to continue to just light a path for so many people. And it's inspiring to sit here with you. So thank you for coming and sharing all this with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you. You're so warm, but you ask some really insightful questions. I'm gonna go into my room. I'm gonna curl up in a ball and think about life all over again.
You're adorable.
And then I'm going to be excited about tomorrow.
Oh my God. And my best friend did a deal with Mark on Shark Tank with her Unreal Deli, and she's having the best time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's unbelievable. They're now in like 3,000 stores. And so she was so excited that I was having you on. Amazing. Daymond, thank you for being you.
Thank you.
Everybody sign up for the course. Get a little bit more of this guy in your life. It can only lead to good things. Thank you for today.
Thank you.